How many were there, Archie? How many women did you betray me with?
I don't know, I lost count.
Don't you dare. Don't come any close. Not another step. Never ever touch me again. Hi, I'm Janella, Archie's wife. I used to love my husband's body until he decided to destroy it on his own. You know, I had always known Archie to be a little reserved when it came to his body, but lately it seemed like he was being even more secretive. It wasn't like we hadn't been together for years and seen each other's bodies countless times before, so I couldn't help but feel suspicious about his behavior. One evening, as we were getting ready for bed, I noticed that he was unusually quick to get into the shower, making sure to keep the bathroom door tightly closed. I found it odd, as we had always been comfortable with each other's presence, even during the most mundane activities. Archie, what's up with that? It's like you're being too secretive about showering. You're so silly.
Oh, it's nothing, Janella. I just feel like being private tonight, that's all.
Are you insecure about your body again? I told you to stop following those Fitspiration gym accounts on Instagram.
No, it's not that, Janella. I just feel like being private tonight, that's all.
I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but I didn't want to push him too much, so I let it go, deciding to keep a closer eye on his behavior. The next day, as we prepared to head out for a summer outing, I noticed that Archie was dressed in long, thick clothes despite the scorching heat outside. Are you sure you're going to wear that? You're going to be too hot in those clothes. We still have time for you to change into something light and airy.
I'm just more comfortable this way, Janella. You know how I am. Plus, I look good in this. Fashion always comes first.
But deep down, I knew this was more than just about comfort. I couldn't help but wonder if he was hiding something under those layers of clothing. As the day wore on, the sun blazed hotter and hotter, and the heat became unbearable. Despite the weather, Archie stubbornly clung to his clothes. He was already sweating buckets, and his discomfort is getting harder and harder to ignore. Archie, seriously, you're going to overheat in those clothes. Why don't you take off that shirt?
I said I'm fine, Janella. Worry about your own clothes, won't you?
We headed towards the beach, and as we approached the ocean, I expected him to finally give in the temptation of a refreshing swim. But instead, he hesitated, looking unsure. Come on, Archie, let's take a dip in the water. I know you want to.
I think I'll just stay here for a while, Janella. You go ahead and have fun for me.
His insistence intrigued me. Archie had never been this reluctant to shed his shirt during a beach outing. He loved flaunting his well-toned body, and we often teased him for being a bit of a show-off, but today was different, and it felt like there was something he wasn't telling me. As the days went by, my suspicion grew, and I found myself unable to ignore the nagging feeling that something was seriously wrong. I decided to vent about it to my best friend Vanessa, hoping she might give me advice on how to handle it. Van, I don't know what to do. Archie has been acting so strange lately, and I can't shake the feeling that he's keeping something from me. Maybe he's just going through a phase, Janella. Couples have their ups and downs, it's normal. But it feels different this time. He's hiding his body, avoiding intimate moments, and wearing heavy clothes even in the heat. It's like he's shutting me out. Oh, it could be stress or something else he's dealing with. Just give him some space, but also let him know that you're there for him if he wants to talk. So that night, I decided to enter Archie's room, hoping that would help ease the tension between us. Suddenly, we found ourselves in an intimate moment, ready to express our love for each other. We began to kiss passionately as we began to embrace. He suddenly whispered,
Can you turn off the lights, Janella?
Archie, are you sure about turning off the lights? We always keep them on.
I thought it might be nice for a change, Janella. Just try it, okay?
His request caught me off guard. Archie had always enjoyed the intimacy of being close, and he had never shied away from having the lights on before. I tried not to let my surprise show, but I couldn't help but wonder why he wanted the darkness now. Still, I decided to indulge him. As he got up and walked towards the light switch to turn it off, something felt off. Archie's body tensed up and he clutched his chest. Archie, what's wrong? Are you okay?
I don't know, I just feel dizzy and lightheaded.
Before I could react, he stumbled backward and collapsed onto the bed. Panic surged through me as I frantically called out his name, trying to wake him to consciousness, but he remained unresponsive, and I realized that something was seriously wrong. I quickly grabbed my phone and dialed emergency services, my heart pounding in my chest as I explained the situation to the operator. Help was on the way, but this could be critical, so I had to make use of the agonizing minutes before the paramedics arrived. Without a second thought, I knew I had to take action. I began performing CPR on him, praying that it would help him breathe again. My hands trembled with fear and desperation, but despite my efforts, Archie still wouldn't breathe. Panic surged through me as I realized that time was running low. I knew I had to do something more, and I noticed that he was wearing a thick shirt that could be restricting his airflow. Without hesitation, I ripped it open, hoping that it would give him some relief and allow him to breathe. But as I opened his shirt, my heart sank. His chest was covered in angry red hives, a clear sign that something was seriously wrong. I had no idea what could have caused this reaction, but I knew it had to be related to his sudden collapse. The paramedics immediately went to work attending to Archie and assessing his condition. They asked me questions about his medical history and if he had any allergies or health issues. At that moment, I had to face the fact that I didn't know everything about him, and it was a painful realization. As we arrived at the hospital, Archie suddenly woke up and appeared disoriented and panicked. He quickly pushed away the concerned medical staff and rushed out of the room, mumbling something about having an allergic reaction. I was taken aback by his reaction, wondering why he was so insistent about leaving without getting proper medical attention. I hurried after him, catching up as he stood outside the hospital entrance. Archie, what was that? What are you doing? You need to let the doctors take care of you. You literally stopped breathing a few seconds ago.
No, I'm fine, Janella, just like what I told them. It's just an allergic reaction. We don't have to waste money on something we can easily fix. I don't need all this fuss. Let's just go home.
His words sounded flimsy, and I couldn't ignore the lingering doubt in my mind. Something felt off about his behavior, and I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to his collapse than he was letting on. But seeing how anxious and evasive he was, I didn't want to push too hard and cause him further distress. Okay, but promise me that if you don't feel better, you'll go back inside and let the doctors check on you. Archie nodded half-heartedly, but the unease in my heart only grew stronger. It was clear that he didn't want to be examined, and I couldn't help but wonder why. I needed to confront him about his health, but I also wanted to give him some space to come to terms with everything. One evening, as we were preparing dinner, Archie suddenly clutched his chest, gasping for breath. Panic washed over me as I rushed to his side. Archie, what's wrong? Are you okay? He tried to speak, but his words were labored and barely audible. I knew we had to act quickly. Without hesitation, I dialed emergency services again and followed their instructions for performing CPR. I remained as calm as possible, having been through this ordeal before, but deep down I was still terrified. As I continued with the CPR, my hands trembled with anxiety. Finally, Archie regained consciousness, and I updated the emergency services operator about my husband's condition and ended the call. He was still weak and disoriented, and that's when I noticed something peculiar on his chest. Archie, what are these marks on your chest? I questioned, gently tracing my fingers over the faint red spots. He looked away, avoiding eye contact, and mumbled,
Oh, it's nothing. Must be the hives again. I really couldn't get these to go away for good.
but I wasn't convinced. The marks looked like something else entirely. The spots were flat as well, with no bumps at all. My suspicions grew stronger with each passing second. No, Archie, these don't look like hives or rashes. They look like love bites. My hands trembled as I traced the love bites on his chest, following their path down towards his lower abdomen. Fear and anger welled up inside me as it slowly sinks in with what I was about to realize. Taking a deep breath, I mastered the courage to pull him closer, grabbing his collar to inspect it meticulously. There it was, faint lipstick marks. My heart sank as I realized that this was just the tip of the iceberg. I made my way to the laundry room and I searched through the pile of clothes. A few months ago, he started insisting on doing his own laundry, and I was naive to believe that he was just being responsible and wanted to lessen my load of household chores. As I sifted through the clothes, my heart pounded in my chest, and there, more clothes had lipstick marks on his shirts, his jackets, and even his socks. The evidence was undeniable, and my worst fears were coming true. As my emotions reached their breaking point, I couldn't contain my anger any longer. With a surge of frustration, I grabbed a handful of his laundry and threw it at him, shouting, "How many were there, Archie? How many women did you betray me with?" He looked taken aback, as if caught off guard by the force of my emotions.
I don't know. I lost count.
His response felt like another stab in my already wounded heart. How could he be so callous and nonchalant about his affairs? Desperate for me to forgive him, he attempted to pull me into his arms and plant a kiss on my lips, but I immediately pushed him away. The touch that once brought me comfort now felt like a betrayal. Tears streamed down my face as I looked at him, suddenly realizing something that sent a shiver down my spine. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Those hives before, they weren't allergic reactions. Archie's face went pale and he looked away, unable to meet my gaze. It was clear that my words had struck a nerve, and the truth that he had been trying to hide was now out in the open. "You contracted a sexually transmitted disease, didn't you? You cheated on me, and now you have put my health at risk too?" He didn't respond, and I could see the guilt written all over his face. The truth was painfully clear, and it felt like a dagger through my heart. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Not only had he betrayed my trust and shattered our marriage, but he has also jeopardized my well-being. I felt a surge of anger and disgust, not just towards him, but also towards myself for not seeing the signs sooner. As Archie tried to come closer, I held up my hand to stop him, my voice trembling with anger and sadness. "Don't you dare! Don't come any close, not another step. Never, ever, ever touch me again." I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself as I continued. "We're over, Archie. I can't forgive this betrayal, and I won't allow you to hurt me any further." He looked devastated, and I could see the regret in his eyes, but it was too late to apologize. The damage was already done, and there was no going back. Looking back, I realized that I had allowed myself to be blind to the signs of Archie's infidelity, but I also knew that I couldn't blame myself for his actions. He made the choice to betray my trust, and that was on him, not on me. As the weeks went by, I heard through mutual friends that Archie's health complications had worsened. His reckless actions had caught up with him, and he found himself bedridden and struggling with the consequences of his choices. Despite his attempts to reach out to his affairs, not one of them came to his aid. Not a single answer, visit, or aid. It was clear that they had never truly cared about him, and their relationship had been nothing more than shallow flings for one night only. Seeing him suffer alone in his weakness, abandoned by the very people he had betrayed me for, was a stark reminder of how little those affairs had meant to him in the grand scheme of things. Meanwhile, I felt a sense of relief and gratitude that I had not contracted any sexually transmitted infections from him. The months that had passed since our last intimate encounter had kept me safe from the consequences of his actions. While I endured heartbreak and pain in the aftermath of our marriage's collapse, I now realized that I had also been spared from potentially devastating health complications. I had once loved Archie so deeply, but I knew that it was time to let go and move on. Our paths had diverged, and I was determined to find happiness and fulfillment on my own terms. I can't deny that this moment left a mark on our lives, both figuratively and literally. From his hives to his hidden love bites, he showed me a side of him I never knew existed. It is going to be a painful and lonely road for him to travel, but it was one that he had chosen for himself.